Week 9 of the NFL season is here, and all the action is covered over on Fantasy Spin. So if you're ready to spin to win and experience the newest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports this football season, make sure you stick around. I got Jorge Edwards with me here. We're going to break down everything for the Week 9 action on Fantasy Spin coming up next. Like I mentioned, that is Jorge Edwards. Find him over on X at Jorge B. Edwards, the king, the founder, the head of Fantasy Frames. I was trying to think of a real quick alliteration, like sounds like the Prince of Peace and the stuff of this. And I was like, what's something with F quick with Fantasy and Frames? And couldn't come up with anything. So other than founder of Fantasy and Frames, but that doesn't have as much pop as something else. So I'm going to think about this. I'll chat GPT it while we're talking here. But Jorge, glad to have you on. Talk to me here about Week 9. Obviously, there's some super exciting matchups like Houston, Denver, and Saints, Rams, Jaguars, Raiders. What are the games that we really want in those 1 and 4 o'clock windows?
Oh, well, knowing you, first of all, thank you very much for having me on. It's always a pleasure to come on your show. As far as matchups go, yeah, that Houston, Denver one, we were talking about that before we just went on to record. That is probably my least favorite, as well as the Las Vegas's least favorite game of the week. But look, it starts with Kansas City, Buffalo. That's the highest over-under of the week with 52.5. But the one that I'm actually excited for the most is Cincinnati and Chicago, because that one's number 2 with 51 over-under. So I'm looking very much to forward to seeing what these offenses can do. You look at the top 15 in points allowed. Both of these teams fall into that category with quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs, tight ends. And so this is a fantasy point smorgasbord, if you will.
Yeah, and it's actually a pretty good slate on all. Like, yes, of course, we have a couple clunkers there with Houston, Denver, which should be low scoring, Jacksonville, Vegas, which should just be a crappy game all around. But then, like, Thursday night, Baltimore, Miami seemed like it could have had some potential. Sunday night, we get Seahawks and your Commanders. I kind of like point scored in that one. Obviously, we don't get that on the spins here. And then Monday night, Cardinals, Cowboys, which is like pushing mid 50s for the total. So there's plenty of fantasy points to go around, I must say. So we're going to give the board a first spin here, and let's go right to the upper right-hand corner, because Oronde Gadsden has been the talk of the waiver wire town. I know, obviously, I do the waiver wire show over at Fantasy and Frames with you all there, and I was pumping I was pumping up Gadsden for a couple weeks of like, hey, this is trending the right way. This is looking really, really good. He's been great the last couple of weeks. Obviously, you can see the production there. Tennessee's just not overly generous to tight ends, to say the least. So what do you think about Gadsden here as our tight end? Are we locking him in?
Right. So 9th fewest in points allowed at the tight end position. Obviously, like you just said, not the greatest of matchups for Gadsden. That being the case, we all know how tight end is a wasteland in fantasy football. And if you don't have one of the top 4, you're basically streaming and it's a crapshoot, literally. If I'm going to have a crapshoot, I'm going to do it with one of the better tight ends in recent memory, coming into the first 2 game stretch of his starting career, being the guy and putting up points like nobody's business. So would I lock him in? Probably, yeah, at the tight end position, and just not worry about it going forward.
I think that's the way to go about it, because I'm looking at the games over here and like the tight ends on the slate, Hawkinson, Laporta, I don't really want it there. Looking at the board, you're basically going to want Kraft, you're going to want Kittle, you're going to want maybe Kyle Pitts. Cooper and I like him a lot this week. So, but really it's going to come down to like Kraft, Kittle, Tyler Warren, Brock Bowers, maybe Travis Kelce, and then Gadsden. I think if you get one of those 6 on the board, I think you lock it in and move on. I don't think you waste around any time. And then right beneath him, this guy has killed many a fantasy team of mine, but Ramondre Stevenson, I'm pretty sure, is ruled out, missed a bunch of practice time. Is this the Travion Henderson breakout week, Jorge?
It darn well should be. And I got to be honest with you, whether it's in any format whatsoever, I have gone past the point where I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I need to see the production before I commit to putting him into a lineup.
Yep. And the contest we entered here is the $2 winner take all. First place takes home $1,000. And in this one, maybe locking in Henderson's the move to winning the 1,000 if he does pop off. But then again, do we see Terrell Jennings and some dude that they picked up off the street play more snaps than Travion Henderson? We're just going to need that massive week if we want to win this year. And I don't think Travion is going to be the way to do it. I want you to talk good about my Texans. So we have J.K. Dobbins and we have Cortland Sutton on there. Are either one of those guys going to be a lock for you this week here on our first spin?
We look at fantasy points allowed over the course of the season. 8th fewest to the running back position, 6th fewest to the wide receiver position for the Houston Texans defense. Both not great matchups. The quarterback, Houston allows the fewest fantasy points allowed to the quarterback position. Neither of these guys sound pretty good. If I had to pick one, though, I would say probably J.K. Dobbins, but I'm not confident enough to put him into a lineup for fantasy spin.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be locking him in. The thing with Sutton, too, is he plays on the perimeter primarily, which means he's going to get Kamari Lassiter and Derek Stingley Jr. If you want to go at the Houston secondary, you want the slot going at Jalen Petrie. So Troy Franklin is actually my Denver receiver of choice. And even with him, I don't think I would lock him in. One last question here, Jorge, before we go to spin number 2.
Sure.
DJ Moore gets a beautiful matchup. Cincinnati's been bleeding fantasy points to literally every position, it seems like. But DJ Moore, as you see here, he's been consistent, but it just hasn't been great. So can we trust DJ Moore in week 9?
We saw DJ Moore have a big reception last week, which I believe was on a broken play. Take that out, you're kind of getting short to intermediate, receptions, nothing yards after the catch related to his performances. We saw Rome Odunze rise from the ashes last week. So if anything, I think the fantasy points are going to go his direction.
I agree with that. So the only one we're taking from spin number 1 is Gadsden. So we are going to run it here. Spin number 2, obviously we get Dobbins again. So let's just lock in Jamar Chase. Let me, I wrote about this week, and I just, anytime I see Jamar Chase's name, I just want to talk about it. All you have to know about Jamar Chase, as long as Joe Flacco plays, in the 3 games that Chase has played with Joe Flacco, he is averaging 17.7 targets per game, 115.3 receiving yards per game, and in PPR formats, 28.1 fantasy points per game.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, we're locking him in. And good matchup, too, against Chicago. They're decimated for the most part in the secondary. And I think I didn't see the practice report, but if Kyler Gordon isn't going to play, then that's even better for Jamar Chase because he's like their only reliable slot corner. And I don't see him on the injury report, but he may have been put on IR. Do you know about Kyler Gordon?
I do not. I know he missed a couple weeks as far as availability. I do not know if he's been placed on IR though.
No Johnson, no Gore. I'm going to assume he's not playing. Yeah, we're going to say he's not playing. Okay. Place him on at least 4 games. The current injury is setback as he had just returned to play in week 6 or 7. Okay, cool. So 14 miss. Yep, week 12 being the most return. So no Kyler Gordon, which means probably Nick McLeod or the newly signed, I believe, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, former Houston great for all of about 18 minutes, will be potentially playing slot there.
Super Bowl champion Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
So
yes, he did. I have heard that 1 or 2 times that he did win a Super Bowl in Philly. So
yeah.
Well, I love Jamar Chase. That's the one way I'll say it. What about Jaylen Warren? Indy's been decent. I'm looking at it here against running backs, but it's just such a high scoring game, and the workload's been pretty good for Jaylen Warren. Is he worth a lock in one of our running back spots?
Honestly, there in this. To answer your question, no, because I see somebody here as an option that I want to just lock in as well, if possible. Jordan Addison, you look at the Lions defense, 8th most fantasy points allowed to the wide receiver position. We've seen the connection with Carson Wentz, but Carson Wentz is on IR. So now we have JJ coming in. It's one of those situations where I am really high on JJ McCarthy. Like he has the situation that Caleb Williams had his rookie year, where he has the best skill set of players all around him. The only difference between Caleb's situation and JJ's situation is JJ actually has a better offensive line to protect him. So in that regard, I would definitely keep riding the wave that Jordan Addison, has been playing so far as he's coming back from his suspension.
Sure. Second most receiving Denver. Jeez. You can tell I'm ready for the Texans game. Detroit's allowed the second most receiving touchdowns at the position, and I believe it's 8th most fantasy points overall to wide receiver. So I don't mind Jordan Addison. And +2, we get some other studs on the board. We can always look to unlock Jordan Addison to preserve somebody else into our lineup. We kind of talked about you want one of the big few at the tight end position. Kind of the same thing when it comes to quarterback. Like looking at the board here, some guys we could get like a Drake May, although he's got a tough matchup. We might want to hold out hope for Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen at the quarterback spot, but we do get Justin Herbert here against Tennessee. They're big favorites, even in games that have been relatively high scoring or they've kind of handled the game pretty well, like the Minnesota one. We've seen Herbert put up points and he's running just with kind of reckless abandon at this point. So do you think locking in Justin Herbert's like a move that we want to make here, or is it all everybody aboard the holdout for Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes?
I think we hold out. You know, we look at the Tennessee Titans. Actually, you look at the points led, 11th fewest to the quarterback position, which is something I would not have put together. They're actually more susceptible to running backs. And so, you know, as we keep going, if we see a Kamani Vidal option pop up, he's somebody that I think we should lock in. But as far as Herbert is concerned, I think we hold off and we shoot for something a little bit better.
You won't even be able to say, let's lock in Kamani Vidal before I already have him locked in. Don't you worry about it. We will be just fine there. So we picked up Addison there on spin number 2, and that is a dream pool at the 2 running backs. No reason not to lock in Gibbs and Taylor, right?
100%. 100%.
Make that easy. That's nice. I still want Kamani Vidal, but hey, we'll see if he can pop up there. What do you think about Chase Brown? Chicago's had some success from running backs against them. Joe Flacco's come in. Brown has looked better in the past couple of weeks, a little bit. Caught by that 25 points last week. You said earlier you like the game environment. So do we double down with Bengals and have both Jamar Chase and Chase Brown?
I see no reason why not to. Like you said, the Bears have been very generous to the running back position. We're seeing some balance being restored to this Bengals offense with Joe Flacco, which are words I never thought I'd say this season. And we've seen Chase Brown kind of take more of a lead in snaps role. Although Samaje Perine, he's sticking around, and we saw him get some work last week. But I'm still on board Chase Brown as being an option here we should go with.
Cool. Can lock him in. Of course, we can always unlock someone. So now we have used all 6 of our locks. Now we are spinning, obviously, for our quarterback and wide receiver spot. If we were to get a Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes of the world, we'll obviously need to unlock somebody, which my assumption is going to be it's going to be Addison or Brown, most likely, unless we want to press our luck at the tight end spot. But we'll see what ends up happening there. So we get Stroud and Metcalf. Could I interest you in a DK Metcalf?
Yeah, you could. You know, Indianapolis is allowing the 3rd most points to the wide receiver position on the season so far. So this could definitely be a situation where if you want to go with narrative, the Steelers are upset about what happened in the second half of Sunday Night Football last week. Have the great matchup versus Indianapolis. The secondary has been atrocious. The slot corner situation is murky at best, with Kenny Moore being questionable. So, yeah, outside cornerbacks aren't great either, which is right up DK Metcalf's alley. So I would be interested in DK Metcalf as my wide receiver 1, but at the same time, we have 6 spins left. I think we should hold off and see what else we get at the position. But he does have a good matchup this week.
I will say, too, he's handled nearly half of the team's air yards over the last 4 weeks, and it's a really good matchup against those Indy corners. So if you do get DK Metcalf out there and you're not in a position like we are, like, for example, if we had got Metcalf on the last spin in that flex spot, Metcalf would be locked in our lineup right now.
Right.
I would have beat the drum pretty hard, to be honest, for DK Metcalf, but I'm okay with pushing our luck here with 6 spins, and we're not going to lock in CJ Stroud. I typically lock in Ted McMillan anytime I get him, but I hate the matchup against Green Bay.
Not a great one.
I like it for Caleb Williams since he's been horrible against quarterbacks this season, allowing the 7th, I believe, is a quick look, most fantasy points allowed there. So it's a good spot, but it's just, I don't know in this winner take all contest, can we feasibly win without Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes?
No,
that's what I keep coming to.
No, I mean, unless you have, man, no, not at all. I think you have to swing for upside here. I'm not going to put all my faith into Caleb Williams just yet. Yeah, like you said, Ted McMillan with the Packers secondary is not an option I want to go with. I mean, come on, he's playing this week. He's our guy.
Yep. So who do we take the lock from? Is it Addison or Brown?
We unlock Addison and we keep Nakua.
I'm good with that. Yep. It's a good matchup. I wrote about it this week. Yes. Rams are like 2 touchdown favorites. Puka only needs like 3 quarters to get 25 points.
Right.
Like he doesn't need much time. So we'll lock in Puka. We're now going for the quarterback and flex spot there. That is not going to do it.
Not happening. No, sir.
You mentioned liking JJ, but we can't do it with Tajay as his partner here in this duo that we need.
No, not at all. We have one more.
We got two spins left. We can't win a winner take all with Michael Penix.
Nope. It's down to the last. Exactly. Fingers crossed here. Let's see what we get.
Gotta We got to manifest it here. Manifest success. Allen, Mahomes, Rashee Rice, Lad McConkey, DK Metcalf.
I will say Troy Franklin is interesting of a matchup here.
He's going to get Petrie.
That's
the weak spot in the secondary and coverage.
But you know what? Let's just go all in, final spin, and let's see where the chips lie, shall we?
Here we go. Patrick Mahomes, Rashee Rice. Josh Allen, Rashee Rice. Not asking for too much. Oh, I saw the blue and I got excited.
I know,
I saw the blue and thought it was going to be Josh Allen, but oh well, we didn't get it on that one. But let's do a pick'em here, Jorge. So in this pick'em here, what we're going to do, we have to pick at least 3 players that we believe are going to exceed their projection as shown on the screen. Can't do less. We're optimists here on Fantasy Spin, so we're searching for more. So on the screen, which let's say 1 or 2 players, give me 2 that you are most confident in exceeding the projected total that you see on the screen.
Around Gadsden is one of them. And then as far as exceeding, I'm going to go with Jackson Dart.
Okay, cool. You left the one that I wanted the most, which is Chase Brown. We're going to lock him in. And then, oh, man, I love Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
Questions with Flacco. Let's do Minnesota. Yeah. Maybe Gibbs. What do you think about Gibbs?
Yeah, I probably would go with Gibbs. Pollard, we're seeing Tajay Spears work into the backfield a little bit more. The snaps and snap percentages are kind of flip-flopping between them intermittently each week. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm with you. If there's anybody who's going to need or has the potential for more upside, it's Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yep, let's put Gibbs in, and screw it. We're going Jamar Chase too. I'm going to put him in there because I don't want to have to. I picked the wrong one. I'm picking both. That way they both do it. So we're going to enter that $1 to turn into 20 if we can get all 5 correct there. So that will be our week 9 lineup for the winner take all event over on FantasySpin. Again, just $2 to enter. First place takes $1,000. There's also a main event contest that I believe is $10 to enter, where first place takes home $638, and payouts obviously go down a little bit in each placement from there. So make sure you get in on the action. But before you download the app and spin to win, make sure you go over to X, follow Jorge at Jorge B. Edwards. Check out all the great content over at Fantasy and Frames. Anything else you want to plug about yourself or Fantasy and Frames, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, we have a plethora of podcasts for you to listen to. We cover Redraft Dynasty, IDP, and of course, before every kickoff on Sunday, we have our Fantasy and Frames pregame show going from 9 a.m. Eastern to 12 p.m. with myself, Nate Markham, Andy Behrens, and whoever, the guests just line up from week to week. So we definitely are here to help you all win your fantasy matchups. And thank you very much for having me on.
Absolutely. Anytime. Once again, over on X at Jorge B. Edwards and just at Fantasy and Frames over on X, right?
That is correct. Yep.
Perfect. At Fantasy and Frames. You can find me over on X at Colby R. Conway. And if you are ready to spin to win and experience the newest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports this football season, head over to the Google Play or the Apple App Store. Download the Fantasy Spin app today, and we will see you on the leaderboard. What's up, y'all? Hope you enjoyed the content. For the avoidance of doubt, please note that I, Colby Conway, am a DFS player entering these contests under the username Colby Conway. The strategies and recommendations in this video do not necessarily reflect the views of Fantasy Spin. Please play responsibly and visit fantasyspin.com/responsible gaming to take advantage of Fantasy Spin's responsible gaming resources.